predictions in the stream chat, guys. Nice one, Yuri. Yuri forgot to unmute us there. Apologies for that. Yeah, apologies for that. But hello, we're here now. We might as well say the predictions again for Q1. So, do you want to say it again, Rob? Rob, are you there? Okay. I don't think Rob.
Now I'm there.
It turns out the stream was muted, Rob. So you might have to say your predictions again.
For real? Well, welcome everybody. My prediction is both what is it again? Yeah, both Williams, both Aston Martin, one McLaren, and one Alfa Romeo.
My prediction was both Astons, both Williamses, a McLaren, and an Alfa Romeo. They were my predictions. As Valdinger is about to start.
So the same as mine.
Yes, it was. As we now just looking at the predictions that people have put in the stream chat, as Rob's mic decided to have a little bit of an issue there. Normally it just has one little soundbite there, but clearly there was a load of soundbites going off there with Rob.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Ra said both Williamses, both Astons, an Alfa and a McLaren, so same as me and Rob. Dennis has said both Astons, both Williamses, one Alfa Romeo, and one Lamborghini. He's going quite bold and saying a Lamborghini will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying. So, interesting there. But anyway, Valdinger has just started his lap as he now comes up towards turn number 3 now then. As he now makes his way around the right-hander again. Apologies for the graphic error that was there at the beginning of the stream, guys. Obviously, you didn't hear me do that. Apologies. But, yeah, it was an error on my part there. A bit of an oversight. I was clearly in a rush doing those graphics, and I didn't realise it said Friday on the race day, not Wednesday. So I do apologise for that. It'll be fixed before tomorrow's race. So, again, apologies for that. And I'll obviously change the thumbnail for both the practice and qualifying to accommodate that. So it doesn't look like a bit of a mistaken thumbnail. So, anyway, Valdinger does a 50.218 in the middle sector there, as he just comes out of the chicane, and now making his way towards the final 4 corners on the racetrack, as Valdinger now then makes his way towards the 4th to last corner, now making his way into the final 3 turns on the racetrack. And let's see what the benchmarker time is going to be for Bent Valdinger now then. So,
a little bit slow out of the penultimate corner there of 14, but let's see as he's about to cross the line.
Across the line goes Bent. The benchmarker time is a 1:23.087. Obviously, this is the first time that these 2022 cars will be with low fuel. Laura Chung, across the line she will go. She's actually down on Valdinger, and she goes into second as a result. 1/10 off of Bent in the end. Joseph Willows across the line, 4/10 off in 3rd position. Galloway goes top by 3/10 of a second as Coupot's getting held up by one of the Aston Martins, that being Johannes Martins, and Martins crosses the line and goes into 6th. 5th for Coupot thanks to the hold up as Partridge cross, and he goes only 5th that time, 2 seconds off for De Rosa on that occasion. 6th place for Jamie Griffiths in the Williams. That's a very good time for him. I wonder if De Rosa made a mistake on his lap then. Videri goes into 7th place there. Chung 4th, Gal into 3rd there. There's a lot of lap time.
Varian goes quickest.
Perrinan goes 2/10 quicker on a 1:22.460. Amelia Wilson across the line, she will go now then, and she goes into 4th position, slots in front of Miklos Gal. Felix Sontag across the line, he will go, and he goes into 11th, so that does suggest to me that De Rosa may have made a mistake on his lap. Chatfield goes.
Here goes Lopez, he should be able to smash it.
Lopez across the line, he will go, and no he doesn't, he goes into 2nd, 17 thousandths off of Perrinan. Rote across the line, he goes quickest though by 0.04 of a second. Carr across the line, he goes quickest by 0.2 of a second, a 1:22.145. Macho in the Haas across the line, he will go, and he slots into 6th position, so good time there. Byrne across the line, he goes into 5th, slots behind Lopez. Quarg across the line, only P7 for him in the Renault, so the Renault must have been holding something back during practice, but yeah, they are the first ones done, and not really, and well, obviously, looks like the Renaults were indeed holding something back in practice, Rob.
Yeah, definitely appears to be the case. That car feels much quicker on lower fuel.
Yep, it does appear though that we haven't seen the best times yet from De Rosa, Cupoc, and I would even say Martins, because Martins obviously got interfered by Cupoc as well during that lap. So I don't think we've seen the best times from them at the moment, and we do think, even though we haven't seen a replay, we do think that De Rosa may have made a mistake on his lap.
Well, these guys are going to get one or two more chances to rectify it, so it should all be good.
Yep, and all these cars going back into the pits, but Haas once again proving that they've done a good job, and I think we are going to have a look to see if De Rosa did indeed make a mistake on his lap, because it's a bit strange to see him behind a Williams in this session, and it looks like, in fact, it was because he got overtaken by Haas. It was one of the Haas that overtook him. It was Bartjes Kloss. One of his former teammates, in fact, Bartjes Kloss, interfered with him at turn 1, and that might explain why Kloss is down in 13th position, because he got held up by De Rosa there. So maybe more time to unlock for Kloss as well, given that Mocho is up in 8th.
Might be.
And so, yeah, De Rosa, of course, was Kloss's first teammate in the top class, of course, back in 2015 for Haas. And, well, it seems that there's no love lost between those two.
No, definitely not.
And so we now look at David Cupoc now then, as he's now getting wheeled back into the garage. He'll obviously be frustrated that he got held up on his first flying lap, given the potential that the AlphaTauri has got this season. And when you look at Gal, who's currently in 11th, you would expect him to be up there with Gal, speaking of which, just parks in front of him there.
Yeah, Cupoc a little disappointed at the moment, but he's got time to sort things out, of course, as I mentioned.
Yep, as Gal gets wheeled back into the garage. Of course, like with last season, all the teams are in garage order from last season's Constructors' Championship. So, obviously, Red Bull occupy the top garage and AlphaTauri occupy the bottom garage. So, basically, all the teams are sandwiched between two Red Bull teams. So,
sort of.
Yes, so that's that really, as we now wait for the second one to get on the way. As per usual with this sort of thing, usually one driver gets left behind on the second run, so it'll be interesting to see who that will be. It's definitely not going to be Bence Valdinga, who's currently up in 9th. And surprisingly enough, Alfa Romeo, even though we've not got some representative times from others yet, Alfa Romeo looking pretty decent in this session so far.
They might not be so bad as we previously thought, after all.
Yeah, maybe it could be like with Renault, a bit of a consistency issue with Alfa Romeo. That's obviously something to bear in mind throughout the course of the season. Now, whilst we wait for Valdinger to start his second lap, for anybody who didn't watch practice, there is a change to the weather rules when it comes to qualifying. You may remember in previous seasons, we based the weather for Q1, Q2 and Q3 on the weather graphic that was displayed before the start of Q1. Well, that's slightly changed for this season. For this season, if, for example, it is wet towards the end of either Q1 or Q2, then it will continue to be wet for the next session. If, for example, the track is drying up towards the end of either Q1 or Q2, then it will be dry for the next session, really. It's just to add a little bit more realism to the weather conditions, really. So don't base everything... So don't base what you're seeing on a graph, for example. So don't look at the graph this time, but I base it on the track conditions by the end of the session. But from what we've seen with this session anyway, it's going to be a bone-dry session for qualifying anyway, so won't make any difference, really.
Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Sure, wet sessions can be entertaining, but you always want the session to start with dry conditions, just to see the real pace of everybody.
As Valdinger is about to start his second flying lap, there is still a few cars in the pit lane, so he'll be hoping he doesn't get held up on that occasion as he starts his second flying lap of Q1, as there is a car coming out, but I think it's too far away for Valdinger, so he will be able to get a cleaner lap in, and looking to see if he can get a little bit higher than a 9th position, or even close the gap between himself and Mocho.
He's definitely going to try. Let's see what he's like in S1. Through turn 4 he goes, taking a very wide line on exit, and then flare out through 5, taking lots of curb. In the first sector he's down.
He's down on his personal best in the first sector, 1/10 down on Amar Kar, who's currently at the top of the timing screen, so unless he can find some more time in the last two sectors, I don't think this is going to be an improvement for the Hungarian rookie, who at long last is finally making his top class debut after many seasons of trying. He's finally got his break in the top class and looking to do a good job in his rookie season.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time coming. Now he's got to show he deserves it.
Yep, as Valdinger now then makes his way into the fourth to last corner now then. As Carr is actually the one that gets left behind on this occasion, but I don't think he'd mind that too much considering he's at the top of the timing sheet. So anyway, Valdinger now then coming up towards the final two turns on the racetrack now then into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go as Valdinger now then makes his way across the line. He will go in the Alfa Romeo and he stays in ninth position. Gal just about to start a lap, his fellow compatriot. And we now look at De Rosa, who's actually up in his personal best, as expected, because, of course, he did get interfered by Bartosz Kloss on his first flying lap. As now Kloss will now make, as now De Rosa, sorry, will now make his way towards the final two turns on the racetrack. Let's see what the Italian can do now then into the final turn and onto the pit straight. He is currently in the drop zone as we speak. So can De Rosa get out the drop zone? Across the line he goes.
Should be able to.
No, he can't. No,
he can't, surprisingly.
In 19th position. Well, you say surprisingly,
Neither can
but Park can't improve either. Well, you say, as Galloway got interfered on his lap, but you say surprisingly, but I have predicted a McLaren to be in the drop zone, as have you, Rob, so don't know why you find that as a surprise, but given
I expected them to be in the drop zone, but I didn't expect them to be 20th for crying out loud.
As Chatfield goes 12th, made that 13th, because Kloss finally gets an improvement.
Burn fastest by a massive amount.
Breaks into the 1 minute 21s. Rope goes into third. Lopez across the line, no improvement. He stays in fifth position. But Byrne with an amazing lap there, 121.639. As Patel doesn't improve. Martins doesn't improve either. He stays in last, not able to improve despite the fact that he was interfered by Kupok on that previous occasion. No improvement for that Williams that just crossed the line. Quagg across the line he goes. No improvement. Here comes Jamie Griffiths across the line. He will go. And he does not improve as Valdinger goes into the pits. Galli's not on an improvement. He's currently in 12th position. Across the line he goes. And he goes up into 6th. He found a lot of time in that last sector. So that suggests to me that he might have made a mistake in the last sector on his previous lap. But that is a good time there for Miklos Gal.
Absolutely right, Joe. I think he's really found some good pace right now.
Macho, meanwhile, not up on his personal best. I wouldn't be surprised if it was because he had the Renault and the Ferrari trying to bother him behind. But anyway, it's Macho now then just making his way into the final couple of corners in the Esso Haas Racing now then. Coming out of the final turn onto the pit straight he goes. I don't think he's going to improve, but let's see. Macho across the line and he stays in 10th position. So 8th and 10th so far for the two Haas drivers. And they are the second runs done with. And well, what a brilliant lap that was from Evan Byrne.
Absolutely right. I think it's punished his ticket to safety quite easily, but not just that. It's a warning sign for his teammate and for the two Mercedes.
And you could also say, in a way, Jesus Perinin is actually up there with the Mercedes and the Red Bulls at this stage. So far then, currently in the drop zone, we have Griffiths, Kupok, surprisingly, Sontag, De Rosa, Videri and Martins. Both the Aston Martins currently on the back row at the moment.
Well, it was expected for them not to perform so well, but they were much better than Williams in practice, so something's gone wrong for them.
Yep, and so far, the Williams is currently 17th and 19th in their first race with Lamborghini power. So, obviously, they'll be looking to see if they could try and get into Q number 2. Willows and Patel right on the cusp of that top 16 threshold at the moment. So, they're probably going to be panicking a little bit at this stage. As Carr, who actually opted not to go out the previous time by, is now back out onto the racetrack now then. As he's currently in second, and he'll look to see if he can try and get up close to Byrne again.
Yeah, he's definitely going to give it his best shot.
Yep, as Carr now then making his way towards the left-hander now then, before making his way towards flat-out right-hander. So far the only car out on racetrack, but now there is a couple more, as you can see on the mini-map there. Two of them being Kupok and De Rosa on that occasion. As he now makes his way through the long swooping right-hander, and now Carr makes his way through to turns 9 and 10 as he's looking, it's safe to say, quite positive, it's fair to say, compared to last season. Carr, it's fair to say, looking more positive than what he was last season, considering the car he's got underneath him.
Yeah, definitely. That Mercedes was such a handful last season, but it's much better now.
Yep, as Carr will be preparing to start his next flying lap now then, as he just goes around the final few turns on the racetrack. Carr now then making his way into the second to last corner and now into the final corner. He will now go and determined this season to finally get his first World Championship in the top class. Same with Byrne, Roke, and those three. So you could say that a few people have got a chance to try and get their first world title. There is a lot of cars on pit exit. Let's see if this is going to interfere with Carr at all. There is a Williams on the first corner, and I think this is going to interfere with him, and I think it is, because Sontag has just come out right into his path, although Sontag being very kind and getting out of the way there, but that still would affect Carr's time, I would think.
Yeah, either way, he'll be safe through no matter what happens. There's no way he can get eliminated from that.
Yep, his car now then goes flat out through into turn number 5 now, then using a lot of curb on the outside as he now comes up towards turn 6 now then, and you can see how much time he's lost because of it. 1.1 seconds off of Byrne in the first sector and 7/10 off his personal best. So even then, Byrne had a very insane first sector on his previous lap. There's still a couple more cars left to go out, as obviously one will get left behind, of course. Gal, Mocho, and Griffiths are still in pit lane. Griffiths will be hoping it's not him because he's currently in the drop zone at the moment, as there's still 2 cars in the pit lane as we speak. But I do think there is now some movement.
Yeah, well, Griffiths hasn't gone out just yet, but as you said, Joe, he needs to get it quickly, and he has done.
Yep, so it's either Gal or Mocho that will get left behind on this occasion, as there is now, as that car is about to come out onto the track. Whether that's Gal or Mocho, I'm not sure. I think it might be Mocho because it's taken a while to come out on the track, and it is Mocho because Gal, of course, is in the last garage. But anyway, Armar Car across the line. He will go in the Mercedes, cross the line, and as expected, no improvement. Sontag, Purin and Byrne, Kloss, Lopez, Videri, Willows are all starting a lap as De Rosa is
this could be dangerous for De Rosa,
because he is currently in the drop zone, down in 20th position, and kind
he's
of
a long way down.
Kind of confirming at the moment that whilst BMW, in fact, he might be because he made a mistake, as we're going to have a look, and it was because he got held up by an Aston Martin coming out of the pits, that being Johannes Martin. So De Rosa, it looks like he's going to get eliminated. But either way, even without that hold up, because even though he was only able to get up to 19th previously when he didn't have any traffic, I think that kind of confirms that even though they've got some good power behind that car, McLaren really do have issues with their chassis.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're gonna need to put all their hopes onto Willows for a good qualifying result today. Martins begins his lap, Kupok finishes his, and doesn't improve. This is a shocker.
Yeah, it might be an elimination, and I think it will be.
It is.
Kupok and De Rosa are eliminated. Kupok, a shocking one indeed, considering the pace he showed as Galloway goes extremely wide. And
he's gonna crash it!
No, he's not. He's just avoided the wall there, but clearly taking that way too quickly there.
Yeah, indeed. It can be a flat-out corner, but he just had a woeful line through it. Found himself on the AstroTurf, and so lucky to avoid the wall there. That would have enforced a spare car ban, of course, if he hit it. But look at this margin, so incredibly tight. And Jay Galloway, I think he'll become himself lucky to still be in this session. All right. So yeah, Jake Galloway will finish his lap as Joe's muted himself for a bit. He'll be back shortly, I think. But here goes Galloway. Obviously 4 seconds off the pace, but that was a scary moment for the Britain. And then here we have Wilson. Across the line she goes, and Wilson remains in 12th position. Rahul Patel next. He's on the cusp of a drop zone. He improves to 6th fastest. Rogue improves, stays in 2nd. Or I should say goes 2nd. Laura Chung goes 11th fastest. Mans Waldinger doesn't improve, only Justo. Felix Zontag needs to improve or he'll be out of the session. Side by side with Renault, neither of them improve. Here goes Bartosz Kloss, who is currently safe, so no real headaches for him as Joe's back, I think.
Yes, I did say I was going somewhere rather than I was asking you to take over. Lopez across the line goes into 2nd place, splits the 2 Red Bulls as a result, so he's able to improve the top 4, consisting of Mercedes and Red Bulls. Federi's out, he stays 19th. Willows doesn't improve, he stays 16th, so he's got to pray he doesn't get knocked out. Martins improves but stays 22nd, so he's out of qualifying. De Rosa on the back row of the grid as a result, 13th for Chatfield. Quark doesn't improve, he stays in 10th. Griffiths is on a lap, but he's not on an improvement, so it looks like Willows might just be safe as a result. But yeah, disaster really for McLaren, Rob.
Absolutely right, and there'll be a lot of head scratching over at Woking, and they'll be trying to get this sorted out quickly and praying for some power tracks to come soon their way, because this car is not good in the corners.
Griffiths doesn't improve. He stays in 17th. Mocho is just finishing a lap now then in the Haas, but he's already safe anyway because he's up in 12th position. Mocho, across the line, he will go in the Haas, and he does
No
not improve. He
improvement.
stays in 12th position. Perinin into the pit, and that is that done with. So, yeah, our bottom six, Griffiths, Q-Puck, I think is the biggest shock out of all of it, because given the pace that we've seen from Alpha Tower throughout this testing, it's very surprising to see Q-Puck be eliminated in the first part of qualifying. What on earth went wrong for him there?
Not the first time we've had a massive surprise from David Q-Puck in Australia. However, this time it was a bad surprise. So as a confirmation, there is Griffiths, Q-Puck, Fedeli, Zonta, Di Rosa, and Jonatas Martins qualifying last in his first ever session, who are eliminated.
Byrne, Lopez, and Roque making up the top three in the end there. Then, so we're just going to take a brief pause for Q1 whilst Yuri does the sorts everything out for Q2. But in the meantime, guys, let us know your predictions on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself as I'm just going to sort out the tweet for Twitter. So bear with as I go a bit silent.
All right. In the meantime, I'll give my prediction. So I think the drivers who are going to be eliminated are Willows, both Alfa Romeos, both Lamborghinis, and the Ferrari. That is my prediction. So, of course, let us know your predictions down in the chat. I have to say, that was quite a big scare for Jake Galloway there, almost hitting the wall. But he'll be thankfully still in this session, as we're just waiting for everything, of course. Right, I get it. So, we got a prediction from Raw. Joe, both Alphas, both Lambos, and the Ferrari. So, the same prediction as me. Mocho said both Alfa Romeo, both Ferrari, a Renault, and himself. Interesting. And Dennis has said Joe, both Alfa, one Lamborghini, one Ferrari, and Gal. Interesting. Well, who knows what's going to happen. From Chanok says Willows, Gal, both Alpha, and both Lambo. All right. Let us know some more predictions if you got any, guys, of course. Doesn't appear to be getting. We don't appear to be getting any new predictions at time for the moment, so we'll just be patient, I guess.
We are back, and just in time, really. That was perfect timing on my end. Just put the tweet up, and we're about to get Q2 underway now. Then, so
once again, mow dry, no surprise. Let's get this going.
See, we don't need to bother about the weather, of course, because obviously it's all based on the track conditions for Q1, really. So, and obviously, given it's going to be dry for the entirety of the session, it's not going to really change, is it? Let's be honest. Unless some GP4 magic downpour happens, even though it's not predicted to rain, which could spoil things, but I highly doubt it. Anyway, we're now out on the racetrack. Of course, Rob has read his predictions and also read other people's predictions whilst in the break. So I'll give my predictions whilst we wait for some track action. So my predictions, I'm going to say Willows will get eliminated just because... So Willows, I think, will get eliminated just because of how much McLaren are struggling with the chassis at the moment. I'm gonna say one Haas will get eliminated, even though they are performing quite well. I think only one Haas is going to get through into Q3 personally. I'm gonna say going to say both Ferraris because it did look like they were struggling in the session. I'm also going to say a Lamborghini, and I'm also going to say an Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
I think, in fact, looking at the pace of the Alfa, I think actually one will get through into Q3 personally, but that's my prediction. So yeah, one Alfa Romeo, Joseph Willows in the McLaren, both Ferraris, a Lamborghini, and a what was the other one I said? There was another one I said.
A Ferrari?
A Haas, that was it, a Haas.
Haas. Well, speaking of Haas, we're on board with Bartosz Klos, the first driver to go out on track in this session.
Yep. Klos out on track. I think he obviously he was the one he was the Haas that got into the top 10 in Q1, and
he'll be hoping to keep that speed going, of course.
Absolutely, as 8 cars are currently on track right now. Of course, all 16 should be out on track. There should be no excuses whatsoever, and hopefully by the time Klos gets back around, there'll be no traffic for him to deal with, which it shouldn't be the case with first flying laps.
It appears to be quite a lot of movement in the pit lane right now, so he should be all good.
It's Klos now to make his way. It looks like Lopez is going to get held up by Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari, so that might be a bit of a problem for Lopez on the start of his lap.
Either way, Bartosz Klos is just about getting ready to begin his lap, so I'm going to take you through it if you guys don't mind. Here we go. Through the last corner, you need to get good traction here. Keep it as nice and tidy as you can to get a great run onto the straight. And here we go. The lap itself begins right now. Not a very long run down to turn 1, but plenty can happen here. You gotta hit the apex early and get your car turned in, and then accelerate. Take a lot of use all the track on exit there, almost hitting the curb, and onto this long straight. In towards turn 3, hard braking zone. Get your car turned in early and hit that apex. Carry some speed into 4. Use a lot of the curb on exit into the flat out turn 5. And then in towards the right hander of turn 6 into this section that doesn't exist anymore in real life. 27.7 in the first sector for Klos. Through the right hander, it's flat easily, no problems there. In towards this slow chicane, taking the apex well, using a lot of curb on exit. Careful not to go onto the AstroTurf. Now to the flat out lakeside drive goes Bartosz Klos, completing the second sector. In towards our favorite part of the track, the chicane. 50.1 in the middle sector for Klos, so that's something interesting to keep an eye out on. In towards turn 12. Hard on the brakes, of course, not as sharp as it is in real life anymore. Through the right hander now, going up the gears, a little fast corner there. Through the hairpin of 14, nice and early on the throttle. And now trying to go flat through the right hander of 15. And that, my friends, is the lap of Albert Park. Where's Bartosz Klos going to go at the end of this session? He sets a 1 minute 22.9.
Yep, he goes to the top at the moment as they're now making their way through into the first few turns. Lopez only second on that lap because, of course, he got held up by Chris Chatfield. As we now
woeful lap for Chatfield, to be honest.
As we now look at Perinin, who crosses the line, and he goes fastest by 0.3 of a second. Here comes Jake Galloway in the Ferrari as he's now going to cross the line, and he goes into second place there, 8 thousandths off of Hayes' Perinin there. Here comes Amelia Wilson in the Alfa Romeo as she now crosses the line and goes into 5th there. Here comes Miklos Gal, cross the line, goes into 3rd with that time. George Roke in the Red Bull crosses the line now then, and he goes fastest by 1/10 of a second. Bence Valdinger in the Alfa Romeo, he now crosses the line in the Alfa Romeo, and he crosses the line, he will go, and he goes into 7th place. Patel across the line, he goes second, 800ths off of George Roke. In fact, Laura Chong across the line goes into 9th. Amar Carr across the line, he goes a 10th quicker and does a 122.343. Byrne across the line, he goes quickest, a 121.998 as Quad goes into second, 21 thousandths off. So Quad finally showing some speed in the second in Q2. Willows goes into 8th, a decent time there. Mocho goes into 10th. So at the moment, Byrne once again at the top of the timing screens at this stage, but Quad finally showing some pace in Q2.
Yeah, indeed, Renault seems to have finally found something. And how well will they do in Q3 at this rate?
Yep, as Yuri has just put something in the stream chat because we know that he's currently in snow season right now, as we know over in Finland. There is a good chance that tomorrow's race could get postponed because of some recent snow that's just come about in Finland. But Yuri will 100% confirm that tomorrow if that's the case. Hopefully not, but just don't be surprised if it ends up being if tomorrow's race ends up being postponed to another day. But we will wait and see, of course, as Kloss is now back in the pit lane, and as he's currently down at 11. So far in the drop zone, then we have Barches Kloss, Franco Lopez, who obviously got held up by the Ferrari of Chatfield on his first flying lap. Valdinger, Chung, Wilson, and Chatfield are currently in the drop zone as we speak. But Willow's actually, so far, performing a bit of a miracle in that McLaren, considering the struggles they showed in Q1.
Yeah, that's a welcome surprise, to be honest.
Yep, as we will now make out as we wait for the second runs to happen. Mocho is still yet to come into pit lane, which he has done now. So now then gets wheeled back into the garage now then in the AlphaTauri, as he's obviously the only AlphaTauri now left in the session because Q4, of course, got eliminated in Q1. As he will now, as we now wait for the next the next runs to happen in this session, as Lopez will be desperate to not get any traffic at this time by, given that he got held up by the Ferrari of Chatfield on the previous occasion, which of course would have also hampered Chatfield's lap as well, hence why he's 2.3 seconds off the pace. So far, Galloway the only Ferrari in the top 10 at this stage, as we now wait for the second runs to happen, and well, not exactly ideal for Lopez there, was it, Rob?
No, definitely not. I think he's got to nail this lap, which is why he's going out first, hoping not to have any traffic and get himself through Q3 where he belongs.
Yep, as Lopez now then just making his way in towards the first couple of corners on the racetrack now then, as he just makes his way out of turn 2 using a lot of curve on the outside, and he'll be hoping by the time he gets back around the circuit there'll be no traffic that will interfere with him.
Yeah, that's what he'll be aiming for, and let's see if he can keep it clean this time around without any sort of traffic.
Also on track we have Perinin, we have Gal, we also have Kloss as well, who's come out on track. Same for Chatfield as well. His teammate Galloway's out there, as is Rahul Patel. So a few cars making their way out on track, as you can see on the mini map, as Lopez just making his way through turns 9 and 10 now then on the racetrack, as he'll make his way around the long swooping left-hander now then on the racetrack, and
flicking it into the chicane here.
Yep, as he will now prepare to start his next flying lap, as he currently finds himself in that 12th position after that traffic issue. There is still a few cars making their way out on track, so hopefully for Lopez's sake they are gone by the time he starts his second flying lap of the session now then, as Lopez makes his way
could be
through
close here.
Could be indeed, as he just makes his way out the final turn. I just saw a car briefly there in view. He's actually coming up to a car on the mini map. Hopefully it's not in the way as he gets into the first corner. It's his own teammate, in fact, which will not bode well for them. And Lopez,
he needs to pass him right now,
and it looks like he's not going to do that. So yeah, this might interfere with Lopez's lap a little bit more here, and ironic that it was his teammate that did that.
Was it just sheer bad luck, or was it something planned for Armor Cup? We might never know, but nevertheless, a little bit of rivalry between our Mercedes teammates. But even so, Lopez is up, so he'll be looking to try to improve even with this traffic.
As Lopez now then makes his way towards turns 9 and 10 right now, as he just goes around the chicane, making his way through the long swooping left-hander now, then he will go. And let's see what his second sector is going to look like, as he's 1/10 up on his personal best and 8/10 down on Byrne, as maybe his car is actually getting away from Lopez, in fact, on this occasion. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get it into the top 10 or not, despite that hold up with car. But let's see, as he now makes his way through into
I
the
think
final
it might be close.
Let's see now then, as he goes into the final couple of corners now then. into the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then will come the two-time world champion. Can he get himself into the top 10? Lopez across the line. He will go, and he goes into ninth. So just about gets into the top 10. Pushes Macho down into the drop zone. Perinin is not on an improvement. Across the line will go the Spaniard now then, and he stays in 6th. Kloss across the line, and he goes up to 8th. He pushes Gal into the drop zone, who, speaking of which, is not up on his personal best. So Gal now then across the line. He will go, and he stays in 11th. Chatfield up on his personal list. And he goes up only into 13th. He's still in the drop zone. Galloway holding up a Lamborghini at the moment. That being Rahul Patel is actually up on his personal best, up in 5th place. Across the line go the pair of them. Patel improves but remains in 5th. No improvement for Galloway.
Here goes Valdinger.
Valdinger, he's up on his personal best, goes only 14th. He stays in the drop zone. Willows is not up on his personal best. He's currently in 9th at the moment, so it'd be a miracle if a McLaren could get into Q3 despite everything that we've seen from the chassis department. Willows now then comes down at the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he stays in 9th. He's in 9th. Wilson up on her personal best. She's currently in the drop zone. Wilson across the line. She will go now then, and she goes only up to 15th. Only gets above Chung, who's actually not up on her personal best. Byrne doesn't improve. Chung looks like she's not improving, getting interfered by that looks like George Roke. Chung doesn't improve, stays 16th. Roke doesn't improve, he stays in 4th. Macho down the drop zone, and he stays in 12th. No improvement for him at this stage. Qual currently in 2nd place. I don't think he's going to improve, and no, he doesn't. He stays in 2nd. Carl and he goes past this. He goes on to a 1 minute 21.818. Carl to the top of the timing sheets there. So Carl goes top for the time being, but for Lopez, that was very, very lucky on that occasion, Rob.
Yeah, I was looking touch and go for a bit. Thankfully, he'll have time for one more lap to solidify his safety there.
Yep, as we'll wait and see if anybody else will get one more flying lap in before the end of the session. Kloss up in 8th place, so far looking good to make a Q3 appearance on his return to the top class, and that would be a great result for Haas if he can achieve that one. And so we will now wait and see if anybody will get out on track and do one more flying lap before the session comes to a close, as Gal will get wheeled back into the garage now then in the AlphaTauri, as he gets wheeled back in, as we now wait and see if anybody will go out beforehand. There's still a few cars out on track at the moment, so I would imagine those cars that are still out on track at this point will not get another lap, so that will not bode well for Laura Chung, who looks like she could get eliminated in queue number 2, and I guess she'll be very angry at that, given the Red Bull of George Roke did interfere with her lap there, as you may have seen. So, yeah, I don't think she's going to be too happy with Roke on that occasion. So, likewise with Roke not being too happy with Chung getting in the way of his lap, as he was not able to improve, hence why he's still 7/10 off a car. Luckily, he is up in 4th, so he should be safe to get through into queue number 3 anyway. Into the pits comes Macho. I think he could be eliminated, judging from how much time there is left on the clock and by the time he's got back to the garage. But again, we will, of course, wait and see, as Macho now then getting wheeled back into the garage. Is anybody going to get out there before the session comes to a close, as we have just over 2 minutes and 20 seconds left? And, in fact, a Renault is going out, and that being Hayes' Perinin. But will anybody in the drop zone get out in time, though? That's going to be the question.
Lopez is going out.
Yeah, Lopez out on track in the Mercedes. And but is anybody in the drop zone?
Safe to say he had to, just to secure his position.
And just in case anybody in the drop zone decides to come out on track. But he has come out relatively close to Hayes' Perinin, so hopefully he doesn't get held up by the Spaniard. Chatfield has gone out, so he's given himself one more chance to try and get through into Q3 and ensure both Ferraris get through with no problems whatsoever. Gal has also gone out on track, so he's giving himself one more chance. Anybody else?
We've got like 15 seconds left before it's too late.
Yep, for Macho, Valdinger, Wilson and Chung at least. 8, 7, and then 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21.
Gal has gone out.
I mentioned that. So it looks like Macho, Valdinger, Wilson and Chung have been eliminated. Only Gal and Chatfield will give themselves a chance to advance into the final part of qualifying. So Macho, in his return, he has been eliminated. He will start in 12th. Valdinger has been eliminated. Wilson has been eliminated, and so has Chung. Chung will not be happy with George Roke, that is for sure.
Absolutely. I think I think she's got to shift her full focus onto the race and try to get some good points tomorrow, because it's not easy to get points from 16th, as Pernian is about to begin his final lap of Q2.
Luckily, there's no traffic in front, and Lopez will be hoping he doesn't get into within the gearbox of Perinin during his lap. Just looking in the mirror, he is still close, but I don't think he's close enough to possibly get held up by him at this stage. But that could all change as the lap progresses. As Perinin now, they're making his way up towards turn 3 now. Then through the right-hander he goes. Of course, last season Lopez got spun round here at the start of last season. He'll be hoping a repeat doesn't happen this season. As Perinin now then goes around the flat-out right-hander. Let's see what the first sector looks like, and he's 800s up, and you can see how much Lopez has been held up by traffic in this session, because he's 7 tenths up on his personal best in that first sector. So Lopez,
this bodes well for him. He needs that improvement. Meanwhile, the session is just about to end. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's the checkered flag. The session is now over. We're just waiting for everybody to finish their laps. Pernin's still up by 900s. Lopez still up by 7 tenths.
Yep, and let's see what this is going to do for them. I would imagine that that Lopez will get himself around where Quag and Roke are in around 3rd and 4th. So we will see on that. As now Perinin now he makes his way towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack, through into the left-hander. And now through into the final corner will come Jesus Perinin in the Renault, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line will come the Spaniard. Can he improve on his time? Across the line, and he can. He goes up to 4th, as Lopez now goes up to 4th, so a much better time for him there. Chatfield up on his personal best. Last chance for him to get himself
Willows is now in danger.
Willows could be in danger here in the McLaren. Here comes Chatfield. Can he get the Ferrari into Q number 3 now? Then Chatfield across the line he will go. And yes, he can. He gets up into 6th position. I don't think Willows is on a lap, is he? I'm not sure. Gal, meanwhile, is not up on his personal best. So it looks like Gal is going to get eliminated in this session. Miklos Gal now then across the line. He will go in the Alpha Tauri. And he doesn't.
He's way off the pace. He must have made some error.
He stays in 12th. Kloss is not up, but it looks like he's going to make it into Q number 3, or is he? Because he is down in 10th for the moment. But in fact,
there's nobody else behind him.
Don't know if Willow's on a lap. I'm not sure.
He's not.
Quite see. As the answer to that is no. So Willows is indeed out, and that is the session done with. And it is Carr, Byrne, and Quag who are the top 3 in this session, and the drivers who have been eliminated: Joseph Willows in the McLaren, Miklos Gal in the Alpha Tauri, Michael Mocho in the Haas, Benz Valdinger in the Alfa Romeo, Amelia Wilson also in the Alfa Romeo, and Laura Chung down in 16th for Lamborghini. But Barch's Kloss getting through into Q3 on his return.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely delighted with that. He's been his teammate, and what more could you ask for? He's brought Haas back to Q3, and let's see if he can do any better than 10th.
Indeed, and be interested to see if he can get a little bit further in this qualifying session. It's obviously going to be something to keep an eye on throughout the course of this session. But anyway, just going to take a brief pause for the moment, and then we'll be back for Q number 3. In the meantime, let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for the Australian Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself and prepare a tweet for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for the moment.
My pole prediction is going to be Byrne. Let us know your prediction, of course, guys. Looking at the predictions in the chat, we've got Dennis with a couple, Rob with a Lopez pole, Chanok with a Rogue pole. So everybody going with something different so far, I see.
And that is the tweet up on Twitter. And
All right.
so obviously, it's looking like so far from the looks of it that Red Bull and Mercedes are going to fight it out for pole position. But it looks like the Renaults could play a little bit of an interference during this session because Perinen and Quark have been there in both Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, it could be quite interesting. I don't expect a Renault to be on pole, but you could see one into the top 4, so that could be interesting. Maybe ruining the party for the Mercs and Red Bulls.
Perhaps indeed, and as mentioned, as we said earlier, it will be interesting to see what Bartosz Kloss can do in Q3 for the Haas. We know that the Haas and Alpha Tauris have made a step up. Unfortunately, neither of the Alpha Tauris have made it into Q3, of course. Gal just missing out in Q-Pop. Well, we don't really know what happened with him in Q1 to only be down in 18th position. So a lot of work to do for the German in the race, that is for sure. And so that's going to be interesting to watch. And so it will be interesting. Of course, I'll give my pole position prediction once we get out on the racetrack, of course.
Sure.
But, of course, we know that people have left their predictions in the stream chat as we're about to get underway for the final part of qualifying here at Australia. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? My prediction for pole position, because Rob has already mentioned, is I'm going to say Evan Byrne will get pole position in the Red Bull. That is my prediction. He's looked very strong in both sessions, and I think in the end, Byrne will just nab the pole position away from the likes of Carr, Lopez, Rogue, and maybe even the Renaults. You could say the Renaults could be in that fight. But anyway, we're about to get Q3 underway here at Melbourne, as we're about to see who is going to get the first pole position of the 2022 season. Rearing to go now then, just waiting for track action to get underway. And so just waiting now.
Who's it going to be, I wonder?
You will see as the seconds tick down, as you can see on the clock on the top of your screen, just currently in the copy of Kloss. Looks like Kloss is going out, but will he get beaten to the punch, or will he be the first to actually make his way out onto the racetrack now then? As the mechanics get going now then. Is he going to be first, or is somebody going to beat him to it? Let's see. And no, Kloss is actually going to be first on the racetrack, so he wants to set the benchmark time before everybody else does.
Yep.
As he now makes his way out on the track, does the Polish driver, as he will now make his way towards the first couple of turns on the racetrack. And Kloss looking to do a good job here in Melbourne on his return, and so far doing a pretty good job in that Haas.
Yep, and he'll be hoping he can do better than 10th place. Where will he end up, I wonder? Should be quite an entertaining session, as some other cars have gone out on track. We've got 6 cars out now, make that 7. 8.
And just 2 more now then left to go out on track, so Kloss should not have any traffic issues whatsoever. The same can't be said for any of the other cars that are out on track, because they might run into someone during
Looks like we're
laps.
waiting on the 2 Mercedes.
But the Mercedes are just taking their time, but they are moving now, as you can see on the right hand side on the mini map. So the Mercedes is about to get out on track. Looks like together, it seems. I say that, not together really, because one of them was on the pit limiter before the other one was, so off the pit limiter I should say. But now all 10 cars are now out on track, and Kloss should not have any traffic issues to worry about from in front or even behind. So Kloss should be able to get a clean run on this occasion.
So should be the case for the others. And would you like to take us through his lap, Joe?
Yeah, sure. As
Okay.
Here we go then. And so Kloss going around the final corner now then, as he will start his first flying lap of Q number 3, as he now comes down the pit straight, and Kloss starts his lap now then. So heading down towards the first corner now then, a quite medium speed first couple of corners, down into first gear. I know it's a second gear on there, but because the graphic goes up to 8th gear, because there's only 7 gears on Grand Prix 4, second gear is actually first gear on this game. So going down into first for turn 3 as well, so taking the lower gear through into there, and then a lift of acceleration through into turn 4, using he actually didn't lose a bit of curve on the outside. Flat out through turn 5, and now coming up towards the end of the first sector, which is a 27.698, through into turn 6, medium speed, through turn 7, and then around a long swooping turn 8. He will go now then, before approaching the turn 9 and 10 chicane now then, Get the car slowed down into the first gear now then, up towards second gear just as you come out of that chicane. Get as close to the wall as possible on the exit now then, flat out through this long swooping left-hander before making your way through this very quick left-right chicane now then. Through the left and then into the right-hander we go now then, a 50.021 for Kloss in the middle sector there then, and now approaching the final 4 turns on the racetrack now then. Through the fourth to last corner, through the right-hander he goes, using a tad bit of curb on the outside. Through this medium speed right-hander we go. We obviously saw Galloway went off there in Q2 a little bit earlier
Rogue's
on.
going faster than him so far.
The final 2 turns go to Kloss now then. Through into the final corner goes the Polish driver. What is the benchmarker time going to be for the Haas driver now then? Bartsch Kloss across the line. He will go in the Haas, and it's a 1:22.846, a pretty decent time there for the Haas driver. Roman
Quag was down on him in the second sector. Let's see if he can recoup that in S3 or if he'll be behind. He will be behind by 2.5 tenths. What about Chatfield? Rogue goes fastest by only by 1/10 from Kloss. That's strange. Chatfield 4th, Patel 3rd. Bernian up next, or is he going to end up 6th only? Here goes Evan Byrne. Can he beat his teammate? Yes, he can. Next up is Jake Galloway, or is he going to end up? Galloway ends up in P6. As look at this, Kai is about to smash the pole lap.
Unless he makes a mistake, of course, but yes, he's around 2 to 3 tenths up on Byrne in the middle sector there, as he now makes his way into the final couple of corners. I wonder what his teammate Lopez is doing behind as well, but the Mercedes are car looking quick. Lopez actually down on Byrne in the middle sector, but Carr isn't. Let's see if he can go to the top then. Amar Carr, the man who missed out on the title last season, across the line he will go, and it's a 1:21.735. What a lap for Amar Carr that is. Lopez across the line, and he goes into 4th position, slots behind Roke, but what an amazing time for Amar Carr.
And for Bartosz Kloss as well, he's P5 in the Haas. Haas are well and truly back.
Indeed so, Kloss up in P5 in front of Patel, but the Renaults clearly not switched it on in the third part of qualifying.
Same case for the Red Bulls. Byrne was doing 121s in Q2, but he's so far off the pace this time around. He'll only have 1 or 2 more laps in which to rectify it, of course, but Ka's lap that looks unbeatable.
Indeed, and I would not be surprised if anybody's not able to beat that. I guess the only person who could probably beat that is maybe Evan Byrne, because he was setting similar times earlier on in qualifying, but we'll have to wait and see if he can hook that up as we prepare for the second flying lap.
I wouldn't underestimate Roque or Lopez, to be frank.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. Lopez over a second, though, off his teammate Carr, so he needs to figure out where he's gone wrong there on his lap, because, as mentioned, that was a stonking time from Amar Carr.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be very, very hard to beat, but it's still beatable. It's not over till it's over, of course.
Yep, as Lopez making his way back into pit lane, he'll probably want to know how on earth he's over a second behind teammate Carr at the moment after that amazing lap that his teammate pulled off. So will Kloss get out first for the second flying laps, or will anybody beat him to the punch? We will wait and see, really, as we have just under 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine who will get the first pole position of 2022 here at the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, as we wait for Kloss to get out on track, and it looks like he's going to make his way out on the racetrack now then, as now he lifts up, the car gets lifted up, and he will now get, as he now makes his way out of the pit lane now then, as now Kloss now then makes his way out on track, and off he goes now then, as he will look to see if he can maybe find a little bit more time, because at the moment he is actually under a tenth behind Franco Lopez, so that suggests to me that Lopez's lap wasn't exactly the best.
Well, he did lose a little bit of downforce from the dirty air of his teammate, but even so, a 1 second gap between teammates is quite hard to defend.
Yeah, indeed, and Lopez will look to see where he lost all of that time on that lap and look to see if he can improve on that on the second flying lap, as both Red Bulls have now come out onto the racetrack along with Quag and Galloway, along with Kloss, of course, as it's still 5 more cars yet to go out onto the racetrack, including both Mercedes, as we saw earlier on. I would imagine they'll be the last 2 cars to go out onto the racetrack, as Kloss makes his way through into the chicane now then, before making his way through into the final few turns on the racetrack, as Patel is now just gone out on track, and still free caster in the pit lane. Kloss will be hoping he doesn't get held up by the time he gets back around the circuit. And now it's in fact Perrin and Lopez who are left on in the garage. Carr has made his way out on track. As coming out of the final turn we go, there is a bit of movement in the pit lane, but I think Kloss might be okay, because I think he is just going to get by on Lopez as Perrin got out on track before Lopez. Kloss starts his lap, and it looks like he will get another clean lap on this occasion. He just makes his way around the flat out turn 2.
Up down the straight we go, in towards turn 3, flicking the car in. He's got some nice turning in that has, quite good aero balance. In towards turn 4, exit here is critical. You don't want to be taking too much curb. As in towards 5 we go, take all the curb you want there. And now into 6, he's down by only by 600 to a second.
Yeah, easily doable. He can still claw that back in the remaining 2 sectors if he can find the pace somewhere. As the Polish driver making his way through into turns 9 and 10 on the racetrack now. Then in the number 70 Haas, now coming around the long swooping left-hander. Now then he will go. Let's see what his middle sector looks like, and he's 1/10 down. So in fact he's losing more time. So I don't expect him to improve on this occasion.
Nevertheless, his effort was very, very respectable to go P5 in that car.
Yep, as Kloss now then making his way into the final few turns on the racetrack, through into the third to last corner, now into the final couple of corners. We'll go Barches Kloss through into the left-hander, and now into the final corner. We'll go Barches Kloss in the Haas through into the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then he will go as Kloss now then comes across the line. Can he improve? And no, he can't. He stays in 5th position. Roke is up on his personal best. What is that going to do for him? He's currently in 3rd position. Meanwhile, 9/10 off of Armar Carr. Could he get in front of teammate Byrne? Could he potentially beat Carr? Let's see. As he now makes it around the final turn. In fact, he's 2 tenths down.
He's only 2.5 tenths down.
He is up on Byrne though. So Roke across the line, and he gets onto the front row. Still 7 tenths off of Carr though. Quar goes
he
up
lost
to 4.
so much in S3.
Second for Galloway.
Second.
What an improvement there for Galloway. He got some very good slipstream there. Byrne doesn't improve, and he stays in 4th. That caught me off guard there. Galloway up in 2nd place. In fact, Byrne was up on his personal best, so that suggests to me he might have made a mistake in the last sector.
Must have been the case, cause Sector 3 was incredible, but Byrne, something's really wrong. Oh, it was that last corner look, he understeered.
Way too much oversteer in the car, and he had to correct it. Chatfield, meanwhile, up on his personal best, but he might have... no, I think that was my eyes playing with me there. But he is up on his personal best by 3 tenths, and he's in fact...
He could get himself onto the front row, but let's remember Cal had an incredible Sector 3, so he might lose a little bit more time with Chris Chatfield. Let's see where he'll end up. He could get himself into the top 4 at the very least. And imagine if both Ferraris beat both Red Bulls. That would be quite a shocker, as Chatfield goes 6th fastest. He's lost time in S3. Patel doesn't improve, I'm afraid. And now Ka still fastest of all, and will remain so even if he doesn't improve on this lap, which he doesn't. Bernian is up, meanwhile.
But he's still 6 tenths down on Armar Carr, so I don't think he'll get above Galloway. But let's see. Perrin,
I think he might be staying in 10th. He is.
Still 10th. He lost time. Lopez is up on his personal best. Where can Lopez go then? The 2-time champion across the line, and he goes 2nd. It's a Mercedes front row lockout at the moment. Lopez, P2, and they are the 2nd runs done with. And, well, that lap came out of nowhere for Jake Galloway.
Yeah, absolutely right. Taking both Red Bulls by surprise there, and they're going to need to go out on track quickly, because otherwise they're going to miss out on pole, and it's going to be a Mercedes front row lockout. Mercedes, of course, didn't take a single pole position in the entirety of last season, and looks like they'll be starting 2022 with a pole position unless one of the Red Bulls can stop them.
Yep, indeed, as we have just under 3 3/4 minutes to go, so it is plausible that some cars will get out there for a final flying lap. Whether all 10 of them will be able to do so is going to be another question. We'll obviously keep an eye out on that one, that is for sure, as Galloway has made his way back in the pit lane. I guess he'll be pretty shocked with that, given that Ferrari have been struggling a bit, it's fair to say. Especially Galloway made a mistake earlier on in qualifying, let's not forget, but the fact he's currently 3rd in the moment is pretty impressive. It's Patel now then back in the pit lane, currently in 9th position at this stage. So as it looks like all 10 cars are about to make their way back in pit lane, just waiting for Lopez, is just approaching the penultimate corner. Again, whether all 10 cars will get out on track before the 121 threshold, we will wait and see as Patel gets wheeled back into the garage now then. But yeah, that's that as we wait to see where if anybody will get out there before the end of the session. There should be some, but whether all 10 will is going to be another question. As we look back on board with Kloss, who obviously went out first on the previous 2 runs. Let's see if he's going to do that for a 3rd time, as the seconds continue to tick down on the clock on the top of your screen there. And is he going to get out there as we wait? And in fact, a Renault's going to beat him to it, that being Roman Quarg, who's currently in 6th position. Perinen still down in 10th despite that improvement. So again, consistency proving to be a bit of an issue for Renault at the moment.
Yeah, well said. Quag is getting out in time, but looks like Renault have got a lot of work to do.
Yep, as Quag now then making his way towards the right-hander now then. So through turns 3 he goes, and then into turn 4, and then into the flat-out turn 5 he will soon be approaching. Roke has just gone out on track, as has Byrne, as has Quag obviously. Kloss has made his way back out on track, as has Galloway. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mercedes has decided to stay in the pit lane on this occasion, because they did leave it quite late on the previous 2 occasions. Chatfield's gone out, so it's just Perinen and the
Both
2
Red
Mercedes.
Bulls are out on track, crucially.
Yes, as 26, 25, 24.
Doesn't appear to be any movement in the pit lane. That's it.
That's it. So Perinen will start in 10th then. Not exactly ideal for him. And the Mercedes are going to stay in the pit lane and pray that it's enough for them to lock out the front row, as we wait and see what Quarg and the 2 Red Bulls are able to do. And maybe even Galloway as well after that shocking performance he put there. Maybe even Chatfield could pull something shocking out of the bag. We will see. But anyway, as Quarg now then makes his way...
It's now or never.
Through into the final turn he goes. Hopefully he'll be hoping that that Lopez doesn't come out to do a mileage run right in front of him, but it doesn't look like he will, so it looks like he's going to get a clear run. So Quarg with a clean lap in front of him now then, as the Frenchman makes his way into turn 1 now then. And so let's see what Quarg can do on this occasion as he now makes his way up towards turn number 3. Looks like Lopez is not going to interfere with anyone, so the Red Bulls won't get held up, at the very least, by Lopez. I'm not sure if they're going to get held up by anybody else on their laps. But anyway, Quarg now then flat out through turn 5. Let's see what the first sector is going to look like for him. Up towards the first sector we go, and he's
up by a big margin.
300s down on car. That is still doable to turn that around. So Quarg could actually be fighting for a front row start here, which is not uncommon, of course, because Quarg did get one for the start.
Although he's having an understeer.
And he's
gone off the track almost.
Quarg, I think that's probably that in terms of a front row lockout. I think Quarg has binned that one completely there. Clearly pushing.
I think we spoke too soon there as the checkered flag is out. What a shame.
I think it's safe to say he pushed a little bit too hard there, Rob.
Yeah, he was very encouraged by Delta time in S1 and just got carried away a little bit with the car, and as a result he won't be able to improve. He'll be starting 6th or worse tomorrow.
And as a result of that mistake, he is now down on his personal best. Coming into the final couple of corners on the racetrack now then. Quarg, around the final turn he goes in the Renault. Is he able to recover some time in the last sector? I doubt it, but let's see. Quarg across the line. He will go, and he stays in 6th.
He did recover a 10th, but not enough. Bartosz Kloss, meanwhile, is improving. He could knock Quarg down a place or 2.
See now then, as he's 2 tenths up on his personal best.
Sorry, just 1 place.
In the middle sector. Kloss now then across the line. He will go, and he goes up to 4th on a lap for Kloss there, as Roke goes up to 2nd. What can Byrne do with the car now then? The Irishman, can he grab pole off a car? And no, he can't. He goes 3rd with that lap. Galloway across the line, he will go, and he's going to stay in 5th with that lap. Patel up on his personal best across the line, but it's only good enough for 9th. Chatfield is not up on his personal best either as he rounds the final turn now then. Chatfield across the line, he will go in the Ferrari. I don't think this is going to be an improvement. It looks like he might have made a mistake somewhere. No, he hasn't, and he does not improve, and that's that. So Armar Carr, after a drought of pole positions last season, he finally takes his first pole since 2020. But unfortunately, it's not a Mercedes front row lockout, as the Red Bulls did spoil that party in the end. And
more exactly, it's a British front row lockout with Carr on pole and Roke 2nd.
As we're now going to see how Carr got that pole position. So we're going to stay silent and let you enjoy the pole out. and that is how Amar Khan took pole position for tomorrow's Australian Grand Prix. I think it's his first pole since Brazil 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, a return to form for Amar Khan, and he'll be absolutely ecstatic with that one.
Yeah, indeed. Mercedes have done very well today. They've beaten Red Bull only just, but a win is a win, and a pole is a pole. It's going to be an all British front row down under, and this bodes well for a very exciting race tomorrow. Amar Khan on pole position with George Roque second, Evan Byrne in third to make it both Red Bulls in the top three. Then is Franco Lopez in fourth, Jake Galloway fifth, Bartosz Kloss in a very impressive sixth, Roman Quagg seventh with Chris Sheffield in eighth, Rahul Patel ninth, and Jesus Pernian all the way down in 10th.
What might have been for Roman Quagg, had he not made that mistake, he probably could have been third. I don't think he would have got the front row, given that Roque was pretty close to Carr in the end. But I think third place was possible for Quagg there, had he not made that mistake into turns 9 and 10 there. But there you have it then. That has been it from qualifying here in Australia. I hope you have enjoyed that. A very exciting end to qualifying that was indeed. And Amar Khan back to form in qualifying. And they're looking to be a real threat to Red Bull this season. But that has been it then. That has been it then, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. We're hoping that the race will be on tomorrow, but of course, Yui has just mentioned to us that that there may be a chance that the race could be postponed due to it being snow season in Finland, and he just received a notification on that recently. So obviously, Yui will fully confirm that by tomorrow morning. So don't worry about that. Hopefully it's on for tomorrow, but don't be surprised if it has to be postponed by a day or so, but we'll see. But anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed it, so thank you all for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Robert Ionescu, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow at 5 PM GMT for the 58-lap Australian Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Bye-bye.